Odd Thomas is a young man with a unique ability to see and interact with the dead. Odd lives in a small town called Pico Mundo, where he works as a short-order cook at a local diner. He narrates his life, explaining his gift and how it compels him to help the dead find justice or peace. One day, Odd encounters the spirit of a young girl named Penny Callisto, who silently guides him to the person responsible for her death. Penny leads Odd to a street where they spot Harlow Lenderson arriving in a car. After a brief exchange, Odd snatches Harlow's car keys and points out that there is a trace of a woman's blood in his pocket. When Penny touches Odd's shoulder, he receives a vision of the events that transpired. Odd then accuses Harlow of murdering Penny and collecting her blood. Panicked, Harlow leaps out of his car and takes off running, with Odd close behind. The chase ends at a house where a pool party is happening. Odd catches up to Harlow and violently confronts him, leading to a physical struggle. A frightened little boy calls out for his mother, and when Harlow notices the boy upstairs, he tries to take him hostage. Odd, however, quickly follows and strikes Harlow in the head with a lamp. In a desperate attempt to escape, Harlow engages Odd in a fistfight, but Odd overpowers him. Finally, Harlow surrenders after Odd slams his head against a mirror. The police arrive shortly after and arrest the battered Harlow. Later, Penny returns to Odd, and he reassures her that she is moving on to a place full of kindness and wonder. Odd reflects on the fact that the spirits he encounters never speak, and he still hasn't figured out why. As Penny fades away, Police Chief Wyatt Porter arrives, reprimanding Odd for the chaos he caused at the house. He hands Odd some ice for his bruises, pointing out that there could have been a less destructive way to catch Harlow. Odd, however, insists that he had to act quickly to prevent another murder. Before leaving, Wyatt offers Odd a cover story to avoid revealing his psychic abilities. That night, while walking home, Odd is startled by strange sounds. He soon encounters faceless figures dressed in red and black uniforms who ask for his help. These figures lift Odd and carry him towards his apartment, but an unknown assailant begins shooting at them. By the time they reach Odd's building, only one figure remains. The gunman strikes both Odd and the remaining figure, but the latter still manages to carry Odd to his bed. When Odd wakes up in the morning, he ominously senses that something evil is approaching. While working at the diner the next day, Odd's girlfriend, Stormy Llewellyn, joins him for breakfast. She warns him that what he did the previous day was dangerous and could have gotten him killed. Suddenly, Odd notices a monstrous creature enter the diner, visible only to him. He recalls how another person who could see these creatures ended up dead after revealing that ability. As the Bodak, the creature roams the diner, Odd pretends not to notice it, even when it comes uncomfortably close. He knows that the presence of a Bodak foretells impending violence and that they thrive on the chaos it brings. Soon, more Bodaks enter the diner, all swarming around a particular man. Odd realizes that the town might be in grave danger when he spots even more Bodaks gathering outside. Odd begins searching for this man, eventually spotting him outside the ice cream shop where Stormy works. After the man buys 2 gallons of ice cream and leaves the mall, Odd follows him, puzzled when the Bodaks suddenly stop surrounding him, something that usually doesn't happen until bloodshed occurs. The man arrives at his house but leaves shortly after, allowing Odd to break in and investigate. Inside, Odd uncovers unsettling clues, and as he explores further, a chilling wind pulls spirits towards a mysterious door. Odd sees a strange light coming from a hole in the wall and reaches in, but quickly withdraws as a dark substance starts filling the room. Realizing the Bodaks are emerging, he narrowly escapes the room. Stormy calls Odd, and while talking to her, he continues his investigation, discovering that the man's true identity is Robert Robertson, whom Stormy nicknames Fungus Bob, due to his odd hair. Odd then hears someone entering the house and quickly tells Stormy he has to leave. Before escaping through a window, he notices that August 15th has been torn from Bob's calendar, leading Odd to suspect that Bob plans to kill again the next day. Later, Odd warns Wyatt about Bob during a barbecue. Wyatt has Officer Bern Eccles check Bob's records and learns Bob moved to town 5 months ago after inheriting money from his mother. Despite a clean record, Wyatt assigns an officer to watch Bob, trusting Odd's instincts. Odd and Stormy later have a picnic at a church belfry. When Odd spots Bob approaching, they hide in the sacristy. Odd senses Bob nearby, but when Bob starts banging on a door, they are forced to flee. Enraged, Bob trashes the sacristy instead of chasing them. The couple reports Bob's actions to Wyatt and then heads to the diner for a quick bite. There, Oz hands Odd a heart-shaped metal trinket that Odd had requested, explaining that Odd had been having visions of a bullet piercing a heart. Wyatt later calls Odd to confirm that the church has been vandalized, but Bob didn't leave a single fingerprint. Odd offers to use his abilities to investigate further. That evening, Odd and Stormy follow a psychic trail that leads them to a bowling alley. Odd is puzzled by their destination, as the uniforms in his vision were different. Stormy inquires if the alley had any connection to his dream, and Odd notes that the uniforms have recently been changed from green and gold to black and red. Concerned that Bob might target the employees, Odd advises Wyatt to send an officer to keep watch. As they step outside, Officer Simon Varner approaches them, questioning why Odd believes Bob is dangerous. Unable to reveal his psychic abilities, Odd claims that Bob had gotten aggressive with him earlier. Varner appears skeptical, so Stormy adds that Bob had made unwelcome advances toward her. Stormy notices the letters POD tattooed on Varner's forearm and asks about its meaning. Varner brushes it off, claiming it stands for something obscene. Odd and Stormy then visit Viola to learn more about her dream. Viola shares that she saw flashing lights, heard children's music, a roaring crowd and the sound of rushing water. She recalls feeling as if she were struck repeatedly with a baseball bat, her hands slipping on blood, and being surrounded by numerous bodies. Shocked by the memory, Viola staggers. When Odd checks on Viola's daughters, he sees Botox hovering over them but keeps this information to himself. Before leaving, Odd advises Viola to leave her house and not tell anyone where she's going. On the way home, Stormy expresses her concern for Odd's safety, prompting him to pull over to comfort her. She is visibly shaken by the unfolding events. Suddenly, they hear a woman screaming nearby. They find Lisette being chased by 2 dogs. Odd and Stormy rush to Lisette, finding a man with a gun who explains that he shot the dogs. When the police arrive, they discover that Lisette had been injured and tied up before being released into the yard, where the dogs chased her. Wyatt identifies the man who shot the dogs as a teacher named Kevin Goss. Odd informs Wyatt that the dogs belong to Bob, leading Wyatt to instruct his officers to search for him. Before leaving, Odd hands Wyatt the heart-shaped trinket and advises him to wear it. Later, Odd spots a white van parked outside Stormy's apartment and assumes Wyatt has sent someone to protect her. When Odd returns home, he notices a gun on the floor and a light coming from the bathroom. Inside, he finds Bob's corpse in the bathtub. Realizing someone is trying to frame him, Odd decides to handle the situation on his own rather than involving the police. Odd realizes that Bob has been dead for some time, concluding that when he saw Bob at the church, it must have been Bob's ghost. He suspects that Bob blames him for his death, though the reason remains unclear. After wrapping the body, Odd borrows his neighbor's car to dispose of it in the gas chamber of an abandoned prison. On his way back, he notices numerous buttocks along the road and decides to stop by Wyatt's house. As Wyatt is about to have pie with his wife, Carla, the doorbell rings. When he opens the door, he is shot 3 times. Odd arrives at Wyatt's house shortly after and learns that Wyatt has been shot. At the hospital, Carla tells Odd that the trinket he gave Wyatt saved his life, although 1 bullet still penetrated his body. Determined to find out more, Odd returns to Bob's house. There he discovers that Bob had been researching bomb making and Satanism, as well as browsing for moving vans. Inside the refrigerator, Odd finds severed teeth and fingers. Just as he's about to leave, Bob's ghost appears and tries to punch him. But as a ghost, he can't physically harm Odd. However, Bob starts throwing furniture at him, and when he slams the stove, it causes a gas leak. Odd quickly jumps out the window just before the house explodes. Odd then realizes that the vision of the bullet through the heart was actually about Bob, not Wyatt. He heads back to the prison to examine Bob's corpse and discovers that Bob has POD tattooed on his chest. Odd pieces together that Wyatt and Varner are connected, and their tattoos likely stand for Prince of Darkness. He deduces that Varner killed Bob and is now trying to frame him. Odd then figures out that Varner plans to attack the mall, so he rushes there. At the mall, Odd heads straight to the security surveillance room, grabbing a baseball bat along the way. Upon arrival, he finds the security staff already dead. A man in a ski mask appears, and Odd knocks him out with the bat. When Odd removes the mask, he discovers that the man is Officer Eccles, confirming that Eccles was also involved with Bob. Noticing that Eccles is wearing his uniform beneath his bulletproof vest, Odd concludes they plan to remove their vests after the attack to pose as heroes. He takes Eccles' firearm, which has only 4 bullets, and begins searching for Varner. As he moves through the mall, Odd sees Viola, her daughter, and the employees from the bowling alley. He quickly tells Viola and her daughter to leave the mall. Soon after, Odd identifies the source of the children's music from Viola's dream. It's coming from the carousel. The sound of the large crowd was from a TV broadcasting a sporting event. Suddenly, swarms of buttocks pour into the mall through a portal, causing panic when a woman screams to alert everyone. People try to escape, but the security systems automatically lock down the entire building. The gunman opens fire near the ice cream shop, and Odd fires 3 shots at him, missing each time. As he tries to reload, buttocks swarm Odd, hindering him from taking another shot. Eventually, Odd fights through the buttocks and shoots the gunman in the head. Odd then cautiously approaches the ice cream shop, fearing that Stormy might have been hurt. He's relieved when he sees her unharmed behind the counter but realizes the threat isn't over when he spots Lisette's ghost. After removing the gunman's mask, Odd recognizes him as the teacher who shot Bob's dogs. However, Varner is still on the loose. Lisette's ghost leads Odd to the car park, where he finds a white moving van. With the help of another man, they manage to break open the van, only to find it filled with explosives and a timer ticking down with less than 3 minutes remaining. As Varner exits the car park, a buttock possessing him alerts him to Odd's presence. Varner shoots Odd, injuring him, but Odd manages to start the van and drive it out of the car park. As Varner clings to the van, Odd speeds away from the mall. Varner manages to shoot Odd again, grazing his forehead. When Varner forces his way inside the van, Odd makes a quick decision to jump out just before the van careens into a ditch. The van explodes upon impact. Odd later wakes up in the hospital, with Stormy by his side. Odd learns that Eccles and Varner had formed a satanic cult during their teenage years and later joined the police force to cover up their crimes. Odd's actions ultimately save hundreds of lives, earning him the status of a local hero. Once discharged from the hospital, Odd spends some time at Stormy's apartment trying to forget about ghosts, Botox, and his work at the diner. The couple enjoys a few peaceful days together until they receive a visit from Wyatt, Carla, and Viola. During this visit, Carla reveals that the coroner has finally released Stormy's body. It is then that Odd realizes he has been keeping Stormy's ghost tethered to him. Deep down, Odd knew Stormy had died when he saw her at the counter, but he couldn't bring himself to accept it. Wyatt gently urges Odd to let Stormy go so she can move on to the afterlife. With a heavy heart, Odd kisses Stormy one last time, promising that they will be reunited someday. He watches as Stormy walks out of the apartment, disappearing through the window. After she's gone, Odd decides to move on and heads to Las Vegas, where he plans to continue using his gift while waiting for the day he can be with Stormy again. With that, the movie ends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time.